from the Paper Cut here, and today we are doing alcohol ink cards. And first I want to thank Brian and Carol for hosting another event. And I just wanted to let you know my shirt. I wore this one because of everything that's going on in the world. But I think it's a good motto. Be kind to all. So we're going to go ahead and get started. If you pre-ordered the kit, if you pre-ordered this kit, you have the two cards that we're going to make, which are these two cards. You also have an assortment of other papers. Okay, so we'll get to that in just a minute. These are different papers that you can use for alcohol inking. If you ordered the complete kit, you also got this little felt applicator with felt and a bag of alcohol inks. Now, some of the alcohol inks may be slightly different in color because we kept running out of them. So everybody does have the stream. There's different purples that you may have. You may have this wild plum, in which case we gave you a pink balloon instead of a purple one. And for your greens, you have either botanical or limeade or citrus. So they all work with the card, or the cards that we're going to be doing. The other things that you will need will be a tape gun, some sort of adhesive. I like to mount stuff up with foam tape. Also, and I forgot to say this yesterday, if you have some type of toothpick or pokey tool, and this is just so you don't get your big old fingerprint on top of your alcohol ink stuff. So we're going to go ahead and get started. There's a ton of different ways to do alcohol ink, and I am by no means an expert at it. We're just going to go through the way that I do it. So there's all different techniques. My way is not like the way it has to be done. There's all kinds of different ways that you can do it. So we are using a block with a piece of felt on it. And this is just like a rubber stamp block with a piece of Velcro and then a piece of felt. The felt is your basic craft felt. Now sometimes after your block gets used a lot, your Velcro gets a little bit used. So sometimes I will push down on my felt just to make it sure it's totally adhered to it. Okay. And then one thing that people tend to use a lot is blending solution. I don't use blending solution. You can, but I don't. So I'll talk about that just a little bit. But we're just going to go right into it with the inks. Now there's all different ways. Like I said, we're going to usually put our ink on our felt applicator. But like on UPO, you can squirt right on the paper. You can squirt blending solution on the paper. We're just doing it this way for today. But again, there are tons of videos on how to do alcohol ink. But if you're just starting, this is a great way to get started. So your paper that you have, the paper that you have is you have these two kits. So you have your two paper kits. Those we're going to get to in a little bit. You also have 5 layering swatches. Those you can set aside. These are card fronts for you to do for other cards later on. So go ahead and just set these all aside because you don't need those right now. But then you do have a whole bunch of little swatches. So you have a whole bunch of little swatches, and those we're going to play with right now. Okay, so we're going to start out with our UPO paper, which in your little swatches there's 2 things of UPO. They have a really soft, silky feel. One is a translucent, and one is just your 86-pound cardstock. You can tell they're a UPO because they're a synthetic. So they're actually more like a plastic. If you try and rip them, they won't rip. Okay. So they're like a synthetic, they're like a plastic. The ink stays on top, where on our glossy paper, because you do have a white glossy in here too, on your glossy paper the inks soak in. So on your UPO, the inks stay on top and you can get some really nice secondary effects on it. So we're going to start out on the UPO because I think that's the easiest to use. And both of them act the same, whether you're using your translucent or whether you're using your cardstock. They both act the same. With the translucent, depending if you put lighter color inks on it and you put white behind it, it'll kind of brighten those inks up. if you put like a dark cardstock behind it, it's going to darken them. So either one, if you want to pull those out. For doing your alcohol inks on your felt pad, I tend to take my alcohol ink and, like, again, you can do it whatever way you want. I'm just going to go through with you how I do it. I tend to put 3 bigger drops on there, so 3 different colors, and probably about the size, unless you have a really long pinky nail, about the size of my pinky nail. So, or a lima bean, but if you don't eat lima beans, then the size of your pinky nail. So I tend to squeeze a big drop. So I have a pretty big drop of ink on there, okay? And then my second color, and you can do them in a row, you can do them next to each other. I usually let them touch a little bit. So 3 bigger drops. Okay, so 3 bigger drops of alcohol ink on there. Now, when I'm putting my ink onto my Yupo, first of all, I just want to get a base on there. You can do a tappy tap to get a base. You can do a swoosh to get a base. You can get your main base down there however you want. But the thing with Yupo, and you can see that the inks kind of move around. So the more you keep tapping on it, the more you'll see this little bubbly type effect. See how you get those little bubblies? The juicier it is, those bubbles tend to spread out. As it starts to get drier, you'll start to retain some of those little bubbles. If you don't like what you're doing, you know, you can just go over the whole thing all over again. The Yupo, you can take your alcohol ink blending solution and put it on there and it'll wipe, not totally white, but you can start again. So, but after you get your base layer down, the more you keep tapping, you'll start to get that little bubbly type look. And it just depends on if you like that bubbly type look. There's really no right and wrong. All I say is if you're having a hard time getting it to go on there and it's looking really streaky, you might not have enough ink. And you can always add more ink to your applicator. Or this is where people use blending solution because that'll juicy it all up. So you start to get that secondary effects. Now the difference between Yupo and glossy is that when you're on glossy, which I'm just going to add a little bit more ink, and I can use my same piece of felt, not through the whole thing because it'll start to get a little bit muddy. And no 2 projects are going to look the same because it depends totally on how much ink you put on, how heavy you tap it. On the glossy, like, we can get this whole marbly type look, but like I said, the inks are soaking into the paper. They're not staying on the top. So we can't go back over the glossy and get the little bubbly effect because it'll just start soaking in. So that's kind of the difference between the glossy, is the glossy has fibers and your inks are soaking into it. The Yupo is more like a plastic. The inks stay on top of it, and then you start getting secondary effects because the ink on here starts to react with the ink on here. With the glossy, it's soaked into the fibers and it's hard to get those secondary effects. So if you want just kind of a modelly type look, glossy works great. If you want to get these more secondary effects, then you want the Yupo. So I'm just going to go on to a couple of our other stocks, and then we'll go on to our projects. So on our Miri Sparkle, it does, you know, you can wipe it and it will look really dark and it will lighten up quite a bit. So you can add a second layer. So this looks really dark, and so I'm just going to set that aside and it will lighten up as it dries. On our silver glossy, okay, on our silver glossy, this is more of a one and done paper. So the silver glossy really isn't meant for the alcohol inks, and if you squirt your alcohol inks right on the silver glossy, it will start to, it'll like eat at the finish, okay? Or if you do it too much, it'll start pilling up. So your silver glossy is more of a once and done type thing. So you don't want to go over it too much or it will start to pill up. So that's the difference between your, but you get a little bit of metallic look behind your alcohol inks just because of the silver glossy behind it. Now with our silver mirror card, again, that's a very hard surface that our inks aren't going to soak into, and you get kind of a different look on there because you're seeing the reflectiveness through it. So you get different looks based on the type of paper that you're using. Okay. We're also going to be using some of our holographic paper, which these tend to get very muddy with the tap, tap, tap. So on my holographic, I like to just do a swooshing. So hang on, let me re-ink here for a little bit. And actually I'm going to take that off and I'm going to switch it, because on the holographic, I like to do them in a row, which is what we're going to do on our balloon paper. That's blast holographic. So I'm going to put my inks in a row. And with the holographics, they're more of a once and done too. You don't want to work them too much or you'll start to lose the pattern on there. So these are more of just going and swooshing across it. You don't want to work it too much because yes, you will start to lose that pattern. Okay, so these are our different papers that we're working with. We can go on now. I mean, you can keep playing if you want. And you can see right here how that one lightened up quite a bit. It was really dark when we started. So you can go over it and get it darker. And again, it looks really dark right now, but it's going to lighten up some more. So you will get a much different look on your Miri Sparkle than you will on your other papers. So we are going to go into our cupcake card. Oh, we got a question.
Someone asked if they were supposed to be doing it on their paper or if you were just demonstrating the different papers.
Oh, I was demonstrating the different papers, but you could go ahead and play with me. But right now you for sure want to play. If you don't want to start on your UPO, you can go onto your little UPO and just do a little tester. So you can test and play as you want. But right now we are going to open up our cupcake card and pull out your UPO. Another question.
Someone's asking if you have a cheat sheet for all this.
Kind of on the back of your instructions. So you have an instruction sheet on here, and on the back there are some brief notes. So, but I will put one typed a little bit more in detail on my website under the catalogs and instructions. Okay. So on our UPO, you can pull that out. You're gonna do our 3 colors on there, and again, 3 bigger drops. You don't want it to be too dry. That's where you end up having trouble. And if you're more of a purple girl, put more purple on it. If you're like, nope, I just want to do blues and greens, just do blues and greens. Totally up to you. Actually on my sample, I think I just did blue and green in the background, and then I added purple to the edges. So anyways, you can get your initial colors down by swooshing, and if you like the swoosh, you can stop there. You can get your initial color down by tapping. Tappy tap, tappy tap, tappy tap. And like I said, as it's juicier, those colors will bleed out. As it starts to get drier, then you'll start to retain your little bubblies. And you can work colors on top of each other. Sometimes it's hard to stop playing. You just keep going and going and going. So I'm going to take that one off, and I'm going to put another one on and just put a tiny bit of purple on it. I don't want too much purple because I want it kind of dry. And now I'm just going to start and go from the outside to the inside all the way around. And again, this is your project, so you do what you want. And I might need just a tiny bit more purple. Oops. and that's my little bubblies. But see how you can layer your colors on top of each other? So I can put my purple on top of my blues and greens. And that's just kind of my background to my cupcake card. So now I'm going to keep kind of yammering on here, and you guys can put your cupcake card together. But I do want to, or you can put this aside and go on to your holographic one, because I am going to pull that one out because we're at like 15 or 16 minutes, so we've got about 10 more minutes. So yeah, you just keep going until you get whatever background that you like. And you can see on this one, I did start out with more blues and greens, and it was lighter, and then I just added my purple around the outside. Another question?
Someone was asking what kind of paper you were using. Is it the glossy or the
No,
Yupo?
this is the Yupo. Okay. In your little kit, you had a scored card that was a metallic paper. You can see it's metallic. And then you had one piece in there which was Yupo. And you can tell it's the Yupo because it does feel really soft and silky. So I'm not going to put mine together, but I am going to go into my cupcake one, or my balloon one, I mean. And the only piece that you really need to pull out right now is your piece of holographic. Okay, but the other pieces that are in here, this piece right here feels really soft and silky too. It's not Yupo, but the name of it is So Silk. So that is available in a variety of colors. You have colors in your kit. Some people have a pink balloon just because they got the Wild Plum ink. So some people did not get Wild Plum ink, but we just shoved the pink balloons in all of them. So some of you have an extra balloon, yay. Another question.
Can you still order the kits?
We do have kits left. We have some of the complete kits left. Otherwise, we have the paper kits left too, and then you could pick out your own colors of alcohol ink. So for our holographic one, I'm putting 3 colors on here. I'm just going to go off my same one. No, I'm going to start over. So I have my teal and my green and my purple. And I did put these in a row because now on the holographic, I'm just going to go swoosh, 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 swoosh. And that's what I like to use my toothpick for, is to hold it down so I don't get my fingerprint on there, okay? So I'm going to just, and this one you want to do once and done, so make sure you have plenty of ink on there. So swoosh, 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 swoosh. So that's how I'm getting my background. So that's our background. Don't overwork it or you will start to lose your pattern on there. Okay, so that's our background. You're going to attach everything together. I did forget to say, now we do sell the layering die, the balloon frame, and the balloons. We sell the Rick Rack, but these dies are Impression Obsession, and that stamp is an Impression Obsession. Another question.
What do you do with the pads? Do you wash them or do you throw them away?
These pads, I just throw them out. Basically a sheet of just basic craft felt you can cut up. Okay. So that's our background for there. When you're attaching it together, you might need to use, you might need to use a little wet glue behind the Celebrate and maybe some wet glue behind your balloons. So now, we have like 6 minutes left, so I'm just going to talk to you while you're putting stuff together, so just feel free to go ahead and assemble stuff. There are, for the alcohol inks, we have those on our website. Our show special is going to our website, going on the sale page, and there's a folder that says alcohol ink make and take products. So all the papers that we used today are on there. Our dies are on there. Our scored cards and that So Silk variety are on there. under some of the alcohol ink papers, there is a link to click to get 2 packets of alcohol ink. We sell our packets in packets of 3. The regular ones are $12, but then there are some pearls. So they'll say pearls on those, and those are $15. And I'm going to show you the pearls in just a minute. Another question.
They're asking how fast do you think it dries?
It dries within, while I'm talking, while I'm yammering away, it dries. So probably less than a minute. Unless you put puddles and puddles of ink on your paper, it dries pretty darn quick. So there are, I said, like, you can take your Yupo paper and you can squirt your inks right on here, in which case you have puddles. And then it takes a little bit longer to dry. With the Yupo, because it is a plastic, it's heat sensitive, so you don't want to heat it with a heat tool because it will go shoo, just like acetate. So another question.
What gets it off your hands?
To get it off your hands, good question. Shampoo. Usually I wait till the next morning, wash my hair, and it comes off. But you can use your blending solution to get it off, which you can home make your blending solution. And I'm going to just give you the recipe. It's 95% alcohol. So there is like rubbing alcohol that's 50%, 70%, but you want 91% rubbing alcohol. You can't find that right now because I was going to get a bottle so I could show you, but people have obviously been using it for hand sanitizer, so I couldn't get the rubbing alcohol to show you the actual bottle, and glycerin. So it is 1 ounce of 91% alcohol to 1 drop of glycerin, and I'll usually mix it up. In a little 3-ounce bottle. We're just showing the show specials again because I forgot to say this. Bonus, if you order by 6 p.m. tonight and spend $50 and you order at least 1 item from our Make and Take products, you will get this free package of Yupo swatches, which is really great because you can do a little swatch of it and you can die cut a flower or a butterfly. The Yupo die cuts like you're cutting through butter. It die cuts really nice. So you can take the little swatches, color them, and then die cut something out. So anyways, let's go back to, I just want to show you the pearl inks really quick. So these are the pearl inks. Important thing about the pearl inks is make sure that you shake them really good. Make sure the lid is on before you shake them. I did have somebody in my booth shake them with the lid off. Ink went everywhere. So shake them. And we have just a little bit left, so I'm just going to show you the pearls. And I'm just going to put a couple colors of pearls on there. Now the pearls do blend better with the blending solution. So you can go ahead and put a drop of blending solution on there. Sometimes I'll take a regular ink and put some of that on there because it just gives it a little bit more juice. And they show up really nice on black. So you can see the little effect. So you can see the little, see how it just kind of moves all around. These are kind of a once and done too, otherwise it gets kind of muddy. This is on black mirror card. And then we have black glossy too. But you see how it's all the little pearls are kind of just going crazy on there. So, but these are kind of a once and done too. It just gives a nice, really metallic-y look to your black paper. So, and you can do those on white also. It just, they're kind of cool on the black. So those are the pearls, which if you want the pearls, look for the packages that say the pearl. But yeah, you can pretty much do anything with your alcohol ink. So we're at like 24 minutes. So we're gonna call it a day. Keep playing with your papers. Oh, one more thing. Our next class, our June Everything Triple class, June 19th and 20th. The class kits are available on our class page. That's also where your alcohol ink make and take kits are. We're doing everything triple. So we have triple Z fold cards. We have triple window cards. This is our little guy's card. It's the day before Father's Day, which you could do that for Father's Day or a birthday. We have our little coffee card. So you're gonna learn how to use those. You're also gonna learn how to use this one, which I don't have that sample out there, but you'll learn how to use the triple dies to line those up to make a triple mini window overlay card. So those kits are going to start shipping June 9th through the 12th. So they'll ship by this Thursday. I will look at comments as soon as we are done here, and I'll try to answer because I know we got a few questions in, but you might have more. So I'll be on, I'll answer any questions, I'll give you links to product if you need them. But otherwise, have a great rest of the day and be kind. Bye.